department at BREC, and despite that, the name of that department, we're about parks and people, and not necessarily about pipes and pavement. So we're here tonight to reimagine Perkins Road Park. It's been 15 years since we originally transformed it into one of our community parks, which was a result of the first imaginary parks. We turned it into mostly an action sports themed community park, and it has been super popular ever since. And since it's been 15 years, there's been some aging infrastructure. It's been very popular. It's been worn. There are some things that need to be updated and enhanced. Some training and skating, some things to reimagine or reconsider like BMX, the velodrome, and also just leveraging other opportunities around the park to make it even stronger than it is now. Joey Furr and his team did the original master plan in 2007. And Canton Russell, who is our action sports consultant, came in from California. He was the original designer of the original skate park, and so we have him back on the team. But first and foremost, I do want to introduce our new interim superintendent, Janet Simmons, who's going to say a few words.
So, welcome to the Bluebonnet Swamp. I'm glad that we're doing this here because this is another park to get to look at while you're here to talk about the Perkins Road Park, and it's a beautiful place to be. If you haven't taken the opportunity to walk this park before, please take some time to do that at some point because it's a beautiful, beautiful park. Excited about, and also recently we completed the master plan of this swamp park as well. So are we going to be presenting that sometime soon?
We've been through that process.
Already?
We finished the, it'll be on the website.
Okay, got it. It'll be on the website. And we just want to welcome you here, and also I'm really looking forward to hearing about this project as well because I'm learning as I go as well. So welcome and thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for coming tonight. Hopefully the rain didn't get too many of y'all wet. I'm glad you made the effort to come out. It's always good to see people come out and participate. It's really what it's all about when we have these meetings. We can only, respond to what we hear. A lot of times we like to or need to kind of explain our process and explain where we come from and kind of where we're going. So tonight, what we're going to talk about is Perkins Road 2.0, as we're calling it. It's an update to the master plan. It's not a total remaster plan for the park because, as Reed said, there's a lot of really good things there. But then there's some things that we can improve, and there's been some changes in recreation, so we want to speak to that. I'll get into it a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about our process thus far. So we are landscape architects. We have action sports consultants with us. We also have an architectural consultant with us, Dustin Trudeau with Dyke Nelson Associates. And then I've got a few other landscape architects, Matt Wilkes and Matt Taylor. Matt was formerly with our office when we did the original work, and now he's moved to Austin, Texas, but we brought him back in because we needed a little help, needed a little horsepower. And also want to recognize Representative Barbara Freiberg, who her father was my mentor, one of the greatest men ever, Dr. Wright. Landscape architecture is, in this town, we love to make better environments, and one of the best places for us to do that, and kind of our particular focus of our practice is in the parks and rec realm. So we're super excited to be back in this process. And when we work on a project as a landscape architect, what we really have to first start with is figuring out what the site is. So we study, stormwater, we study floodplain and flood inundation levels, we study soil conditions, pervious and non-pervious pavement, vegetation, and all of these things. And we're not going to go too deep into this. One of the things that we do look at is connectivity to a park. This park happens to be right on one of the greenway links that's been completed. There's also a great deal of green link that's going to be in the medical health loop system, and we'll eventually be able to tie all this all the way to the lakes and downtown through the green link system. So the ability to get here is important. So we look at that kind of access to the park. After we did our divided into 10 different zones. That kind of naturally broke up. You've got a loop that goes around to zone 1. You've got the parking, which kind of is all contiguous here. The stadium is one. These fields and these playground, this green field and the lake, and then you get into this action sports core, which was really the bulk of the original plan that we did when we branded this park as the Extreme Sports Park. And then there's this kind of this area in the right corner, almost forgotten a little bit today, as it is. And then after we did that, we met with stakeholders that are involved with the project. The first meeting we had, in fact, in June, was with the BREC internal stakeholder meeting. This was administrative staff, recreation, maintenance, and engineering staff that we met with at BREC to get their input. What's working? What's really difficult maintenance-wise? What's not working from an infrastructure standpoint? And then the programming. What causes too much programming to take place? And what's a drain on the system that starts to diminish the recreational quality? So we presented our preliminary project goal that we developed. We presented our site analysis. We presented what we developed as each zone had its own opportunities, constraints, and then we had some preliminary strategies for what we thought about could be done in those. We had some open table interviews, and then after that, we revised and established the final project goals with the BREC staff. And then we went to the next step, is we invited stakeholders in, user groups. So we had 3 meetings, 3 different user groups. Active user groups were more of the skaters and the BMXers and the people that are rock climbing, more of the action sports, the more active sports group. The other group of passive users like walkers and dog walkers and people that just use the park day to day for those type of things. And then the proximity groups would be the neighborhood groups and the surrounding users. Again, we presented the goals that we had now established to them for the park, educated them about our site analysis. Again, we told them of the opportunities and strengths and the preliminary strategies for revitalization. These had been edited some and changed some based on our meeting that we had with BREC, because we took that input and we made some adjustments there. Again, we had open table interviews with them, and then we also got opinion surveys from them to figure out if we had any real showstoppers, if the skateboarders didn't want something, or what did they really want to see happen. So we were able to get that into some quantifiable data that we could look at and help us make decisions. And then, from there, we're here tonight, public meeting. So what we're going to do is we're going to present our strategies for each zone. And again, these are not designs. These are spatial relationships and spatial kind of maps that talk about what we think would be a good direction to go for each zone. But we're waiting to hear input. And then we're also going to have, based on the input we take tonight, we're going to have more meetings with BREC to kind of figure out, because there's more than just this particular site to deal with when we look at some of these things. So we need to kind of take all that into context before we make our actual decisions. So the goals for the project that we've established is to embrace the role of community park within the greater BREC park system by establishing connections to the community through vehicular, bike, and pedestrian access, as well as facilities for a wide range of community events and non-program recreation. What does that mean? So a community park has a certain role that it's supposed to do. It's not for a neighborhood or a small group of users. It's for the community. So it typically brings people in from more of the at-large community for certain activities. But so it needs to service a broader range of facilities and program offerings. So we wanted to be sure that was one of our main goals. We want to improve and expand walk-up recreational opportunities in the park to lessen dependence on rec staff and programming and support of recreational activities. So there were some things in the park that were programming and staff heavy that when it can't be staffed, it means it's closed. If it's closed, then we can't use it. So we wanted to try to make everything we did in this park that you could generally just walk up and use it, so that it was never closed. Now, there may be times when something may be closed for a special event or whatever, but day to day, we wanted that walk-up recreation. The next is to bolster the action sports element of the park by updating and expanding the action sports facilities to address new trends. So the original concept, the original park, the emphasis was on action sports, the extreme sports park, as we call it then. And we want that to be maintained as kind of the overriding principle, the overriding character, I guess, of the park. But the original plan really kind of focused on the northern part of the site and the areas that are currently around the skate park and the BMX. And we didn't focus as much on the other parts. So we do want to go back and kind of do some infill design and facilities in some of those areas we didn't touch the first time. But we also want to keep the brand, I guess, of the action sports mantra there. We want to improve and expand facilities to provide flexible and multi-purpose uses to maximize the recreational footprint. As a community park goes, the recreational size of this park, the actual acreage of this park is relatively small. So we want to be very cautious, and we want to make sure that everything we do can be multi-purpose or can be used at a variety of different times, and that we don't waste any space because we don't have as much space as we might at a large park. We're going to improve access to light, safety, accessibility throughout the park, barrier-free paths, green light systems, blue light systems, water plantings to make it more heat resistant, those types of things. Just improve the quality and the way the park feels when you're out there. Recognize efficiency, expand parking, permanent and overflow. But we want to do that with minimum impact on the recreational facility. So we need to find places where we can put parking that doesn't take a playground away or doesn't take part of the skate park away. And so we think we found some areas that we can do that. But that was important. We need more parking, but we need to be in the right place. We want to beautify the landscape and environmental aspects. There is stormwater considerations in terms of BMPs for cleaning stormwater that comes out of parking. We do have a nice pond. It's got a nice fishing resource, so we want to protect that. We also want to plant more trees for heat resiliency and do some sustainable, sensible plantings that just make it more beautiful, nicer place to be. And then Olympia Stadium is kind of its own little footprint within the park, and we want to improve that brand and have it basically have its own brand within the park, as a standalone venue or stadium for certain types of events. So our 10 zones that we talked about, we've got the walking list number 1. We'll go through these, as we talk about the strategies. One thing I failed to mention, these QR codes at the front, we're going to stop about midway through and take some questions and answers. If you want to submit a question online, if you scan the QR code, you can type it in and I'll get the question and we can start do it here. We'll do questions for the first 5 zones in the middle, and we'll do questions for the last 5 zones at the end, and then we'll have a breakout session as we go from there. Okay, so zone 1, the walking path is the strategy is to enhance the entrance to the park, making it more of a true trailhead along the greenway. Because as you're coming along the greenway, we want you to know that you're entering a special place that draws you in. So a trailhead, identity, wayfinding, those types of things are important to mark this place. As well as when you get here, you want to know where I need to go to find a restroom, where I need to go to if I wanted to, bring my skateboard and ride my bike and skate at the park, those types of things. Particularly for somebody that's not familiar with it. There are some conflicts between bike and pedestrians. Some of the walkways are not wide enough to be both a true bike ped path. So we want to look at separating those paths or expanding them and adding striping and so forth, so those conflicts go away. We also want to continue the loop around the park, because right now it kind of stops and comes here and returns on itself. But we really want to be able to come throughout the park and then tie into that health district loop that's going to take place on the other side of Perkins Road. We want to elevate security and safety and quality of life, plant trees, blue light systems, drinking water. So we've got that comment over and over, basically dealing with heat resiliency, which is some of the things that BREC globally has been asked to look at, throughout their system. So that's an important aspect of this. So some precedents, potential, gateway type structure, dividing parts, dividing pathways, just, basic, just make it look better. Have benches, have, nodes along the pathway. A lot of people use this part just for wall. It may be the most used part of the park, just walking on the trails. So if it's already being used that much, we want to make it better and make it more fun. So zone 2 is parking. Like I said, we want new paved parking. We found some areas that are outside of recreational areas we think we can add some parking. And so we want to consolidate that. I think that when you look at these ends of the stadium, there's a lot of extra space at the end of the stadium. The trees that are all here are way past prime, are overdue water oaks and old Augustine. So I think we could squeeze some there. So that's the kind of thing we want to do in terms of paved parking. And then we want to provide reinforced overflow parking. The idea is to do sustainable natural turf that you can drive on even in a rainstorm, even in a tropical storm, and you're not going to wet. And you can use that on Friday nights when the football game's there, or anytime there's a big event. You can pull it, and then it remains a recreational resource because you can play any kind of rectilinear activity on it. We've done this over and over in many parks. And then improve the environmental quality of the parking lots, bioswales, additional tree plantings, clean up that stormwater, provide shade, check dust, and those types of things. So this is LSU, BREC fields. So I think this is an Alabama game Saturday, and so they'll park here and they'll move these cars out on Sunday, and they'll have rec leagues playing on these fields on Monday. That's the kind of thing, that's what we're proposing here. Every bioswale doesn't have to look like a ditch. So I think when we approach a master plan, we're always thinking about quality of design. So we want to design things that have a certain flair to them from a design standpoint, but also function, from an environmental standpoint and the best management practice to clean up that stormwater before it gets down. And then every parking lot, speaking of Dr. Wright, this is one of his signature projects, but every parking lot doesn't have to look like Walmart. This is a wonderful, this is right in the middle of the parking lot. So good, sensible design, utilizing trees, utilizing landscape in the parking lot, just changes the whole space, the whole environment of the park. So zone 3, this is the southern playground area, the existing playground. So we want to create a bigger family area here, and maybe a separate kids zone that's kids 1 to 12, and have pavilions, instead of just having a small playground, have a destination playground. Something playground that's memorable, maybe it's thematic, maybe it's not, but have enough playground equipment and enough different opportunities for different play, obviously accessible as possible for children of all abilities with it. But we want to have that in this zone and really provide basically places for families to gather. So we want to upgrade and expand the playground equipment. We probably remove some of the existing equipment by the rock climbing wall up to this area, but expand that, bring the safety surfacing up to code, and utilize the shaded area here as a good place for that playground. And then a water play element maybe possibly adjacent to that, the restroom that's way up on a hill that had to be done for floodplain. So what we do for that is, how do we creatively do that? So maybe there's a terracing effect. The splash pad probably needs to be up a little bit too, so maybe we can make a transition vertically and make that potty on a hill, as we call it, make it integrate into the landscape. And then create an entrance to this whole zone, and then you still have green space here. We want to look at potentially renovating one of these ball fields and letting it stand alone as a day use kind of pick up kickball, pick up softball, maybe a little low level baseball, but cricket, those types of things in this field here. And utilize this pavilion as another family pavilion. Have a little separation from the little kids and the other groups, but this could be for family reunions, picnics, the barbecues, company picnics, those types of things. And then again, we talk about being multi-purpose. So the reinforced parking is really playfields, except for when you park them. So you can have rectilinear softball, softball, soccer pickup events here, and then you can have the program events there too. If there's going to be a flag football tournament or whatever that BREC's staff is putting on, then they've got flat rectilinear fields. We have to work on the drainage and those things to make that work. So when we talk about a destination playground, something that's got splash pad, component equipment, and maybe some other design experience with the boats on the hill and nice pavilions, but really a playground that is super cool, but also this playground here we were talking earlier today, it's really a gathering area that has little nodes and play equipment all around. So the parents are there together, the kids are right around. It's not like a playground in the middle and you got 10 benches around the side. So more integral playground experience. Water play, just family gatherings, really cool. Zone 4, this is very remote to the parking, and we really don't want to bring the vehicle in and break up all this green space because it starts to take away from the usable square footage. So we need to do things here that are a little bit more accessible with a little bit of walk. In other words, you don't want to be pulling speakers and ice chests and things to this for an event. So the idea is to try to develop some things that require you or allow that experience. There's a lot of people that use this trail to walk their dogs. Actually, we did notice a lot of off-leash dog behavior takes place in this area. This baseball field is remote, so we want to get that potentially away. And let's think about maybe possibly looking at providing a dog park there. There would be a fenced off-leash dog park, and then bring the relationships into the lake, develop the lake with expanding it so we have more fishable area, and also we will need some fill dirt and some fill mitigation with our stormwater. So perhaps that takes place with piers and pavilions to really create that little lake. It's a very nice area. You have to walk to get to it, but when we get there, we want to have the comforts with some shade and water and that type of things out there. Just some precedents from this little pier here, Covington, maybe bridge, dog parks. You guys know what these things look like. So, Zone 5 is Olympia Stadium. As we said, it's kind of zone. So we're looking at trying to enhance that identity, and we really want to set it off in and of itself for Perkins Park. I think some facade improvements, just a little paint would help it. Removing some of the chain link fences with barbed wire on the top would help it. So those types of things. It's also right along Kenwood Parkway, so that edge is very important for us to think about and how it looks. There's already a lot of partnerships with the schools and other people that use the field, but we want to explore expanding that potential and expanding the potential use. So we need to look at if we were going to get a professional soccer team to come here for an event a couple of times a year, or if we were going to get lacrosse teams or have lacrosse tournament, then we kind of need to think about what's the potential to expand the seating on the stadium before we go away and do something. This also determines the other stadiums in the parish and what the future of those are and so forth. So we want to look at that and see what the potential is. And again, we want to right-size this stadium. So this is the parking we proposed. There's ample space, too much space, in fact, at the end of these fields. This is enough to get another couple of rows of parking in here, and we can right-size it and really create a better environment. And then let's look at these wasted spaces. Maybe locker rooms in the corner, move that maintenance facility from here to here. Put some recreational opportunities that are under a cover. Maybe it's CrossFit workout space. Maybe it's some other type of outdoor recreation component that you can allow people in as a walk-up opportunity without having to have the whole stadium opened up. And then, of course, in order for it to be really quality, we need to look at the restrooms and the concession stands and upgrade those facilities because they're substandard at this point. So, question and answers. Let's see if I've got any questions. What about soccer? Soccer is other organized soccer in terms of multiple fields. You've got the stadium, and I think soccer is very important in that stadium. I think there's some things going on think there are, that overflow parking is an area where you could strike some soccer fields for overflow. This is not a sports park, so to speak. This is a community park. So what we're trying to do is utilize the areas that we can for certain events and certain uses. So soccer is a use that would probably be more oriented outside of the stadium, would be more oriented toward, U12s or U7s, in smaller areas and maybe a tournament we have some overflow, but practice fields certainly. One of the things about a community park in this park, if you had a team that needed to practice, well, they could come on these flat fields we're developing, and then the parents could be doing other things in the park. You'll see some other opportunities. So from that standpoint, yes, I think soccer, but anything else that can be, talked about or done on another field is possible. But this is not the soccer venue, but I think multi-purpose, yes, we would try to make that happen.
I didn't type any questions in, but I have some.
Okay, real quick.
You're taking 3 softball fields that have 25 rentals a week on them from January to July, and you're potentially getting rid of it and making me have 1 field. You're eliminating a huge group of people. I have day use rentals on them every day. I have 3 different leagues that play on them. There's a kickball league that plays on them. There's a state softball league that plays on them. There's the BREC league that plays on them. And on the expanding the parking, to be expanding the parking where it's still a usable field, is there still going to be the fence around it? Is there still going to be the lights around it?
Well, first of all, no decisions have been made, okay? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to put ideas out there so we can elicit this type of response. We understand that if we take something that is organized from here, that's utilized, then it's got to be replaced. It might, and so we have to either find another place to do that, and that's where we have to work with the staff to look at more global things. But then also we need to figure out, are there ways that we can have both, have the best of both worlds. One possibility would be that we leave the side fences and we have temporary outfit fences, high quality temporary outfit fences, because you're not going to park there except for Friday nights in the fall for the most part. And so those are the types of things that we're considering. And when we show that graphic, we're not suggesting that we're going to necessarily do away with it altogether. We're just saying that this is a place.
The lights have to go if you're turning it into parking.
No, not necessarily, because we can just do a big open field that you can park on. We're not going to build a parking lot there. It's going to remain play surface, and so
But the dog park is.
The dog park is again. These are decisions that we have to make. So it may be that some rescheduling we could get away with too. I don't know. Those are things that we. So we're hearing you guys. We're not giving anybody any solutions tonight. We're just trying to find out where the objections are.
Well, then, just to give a little bit of background, I founded my kickball league in 2005. It started at Perkins Park, and then the ball fields were actually in really horrible shape, so we did a lot of work to make them better at that time. And then BREC was like, oh, well now those ball fields are nice, and they started doing their Sunday softball league at Perkins. And so they said, now you can't rent these ball fields anymore, and so we moved over to Highland. We were at Highland for about 3 years, and then BREC did one of these things, and they wiped out the 3 upper ball fields at Highland. And then we got moved back to Perkins, and you guys are eliminating 2 of the 3 balls.
But we're not eliminating anything tonight.
Well, I mean, you're eliminating one.
No, not necessarily. Nothing.
There was a dog park over the.
No, this is, as I said at the very beginning, this is not a design, these are strategies, okay? And these strategies will be revisited and changed before we go into the final design. Let me talk with you afterwards, because I want to answer other questions, and we're going to have a breakout time, and that's the time for you to give me the history, because that's the information we need. That's the purpose for tonight, is to hear from you guys, so that we can, we want to make it work. And it may be that it works out best for you, maybe back here.
A little bit more context. What Joey and we're all presenting are just things that we've heard from stakeholder meetings, internal stakeholder meetings. Nothing is etched in stone. It's being shown to get your reaction, to get your ideas, and then you have other ideas. So nothing that is being presented is etched in stone. It's very malleable at this point, and that's why we're having these meetings.
This is not the presentation of the design, this is the presentation of ideas
I missed the July meeting. I was invited to it, but I had a sick child.
I've got 2 more questions I want to get through real quick. Do you plan on improving restrooms? Yes, both the existing ones that are by the skate park, we're planning on potentially redoing those, and then also redoing the ones, in the stadium definitely need to be redone, and we're also looking at maybe adding some, as we need. And it says they're always out of soap. That's out of my favor.
That's been fixed.
And the forest in the southeast corner is the dog park. Whoops, I don't know what I did. Laura needs help. It was basically saying that there's a walking path there. The walking path is maintained. Yes, we know there's a BMX path down there. We're doing some other stuff with the BMX at the park that you'll see, and then we'll probably talk about the existing. That's not a BREC facility. It's just adjacent to the BREC park, and it's kind of self-done by the riders. But I think what we're doing now may replace that. So going on to Area 6, probably doing blended lines on those courts, so you can have pickleball as well as tennis. This would be walk-up type. So it would be first come, first serve. There would be rules about how you play in and so forth, as they do all around the country. There are different ways to do that. But provide something that is needed. It's a good noisy corner, so the pickleball noise is not going to affect the neighborhoods. So we feel like it's a good spot. And then do some gathering here. So if there is more people there, that you have courts that you're having to rotate in, there's some pavilions and things. You can spend some time there, bring lunch and play for the day. But really, this is a nice shady area that's completely underutilized. So we want to try to do something here that gives you a place to be. Move the sandball course from here to here, add a new park to here. We've got to be able to get the sidewalks in to the area here. Again, these are just ideas. We think they're strong ideas, but it doesn't mean that it's going to look exactly like this when we finish. We need to make a better connection to that loop, and that's one of the reasons we want the loop to go all around. If we do that, we probably need a trailhead here, and we want to connect to that medical district so that this area becomes its own little use area, and it's going to be oriented toward, families with older kids or adults or young adults or whatever that are playing one of these sports, or just coming to hang out in those oak trees. Maybe there's fire pits and chairs for gathering and so forth. But really make it a good. We do need to deal with the separation here at Perkins Road and North Parkway. Just some buffer there because it's a pretty busy street. Just some presence. Cover pickleball courts, tennis courts and banks with pavilions, sand volleyball courts right off the pathway with trees, maybe fire pits and so forth. But that's just kind of the character we're talking about. So the radial hub, the original concept of the action sports was that these are all wheel sports. So basically we have a hub, a center wheel, and the spokes of the wheel go off to different areas in the action sports realm. And so it is really kind of the center. So our overriding goal is to enhance and make it the visual connector come into, and then you go out to the skate park, you go out to the BMX, or you potentially go out to the walking pad. And we used to have the rock climbing wall there, but that rock climbing wall is there is broken, basically. It's ended its usable life, and it always took programmers, so it was closed a lot of the time. So it's really kind of wasted space. So we want to get rid of that and build a pavilion, or maybe even an enclosed building that would have the restrooms, the point of contact for BREC staff. If you have an accident on the skate, in the skate park, they're right there. It's very visible, but also have the ability to get out of the sun, possibly get out of the heat into an air-conditioned space, possibly have food service in there, so that you have this kind of center of the park and maybe a little cafe-type space that could really be an iconic structure that you would see when you come in and really kind of form the center or reinforce the center of that wheel, the hub. This is the main gathering area for all the action sports elements, and so we want to enhance that and really create that. We're really trying to bring other parts of the community besides just the action sports people into this area as well. We've got these unused areas at disposal, so we're looking at how do we reinforce this for food trucks and flexible events, or maybe some other activities that take place in here. One idea we had is maybe get one of these little small pop-up coffee shacks that you could actually have a drive-through that would bring people in the park to get coffee, but you also have a point in the coffee to get kind of a small kiosk type. What's that?
A ride-through?
Yeah, well, yeah, a drive-through, but also you can get, food here possibly. These are just ideas again. We want to maintain this functional separation between different uses, with the different trees and some of the paving design. Right now there's kind of a conflict in user groups between the younger kids on the playground equipment and the older kids that are skating and riding the BMX. We feel like the opportunity to take the playground equipment and move it to the family zone. Some of that playground equipment is still, very good, in very good shape, but replace some of that equipment with this equipment, and then put bouldering in this area. So we would replace the rock climbing, element without a delayed rock climbing wall with just bouldering, which would be walk-up recreation, which is what we're talking about. So this would never be closed. It would be challenging enough that you could have competitions and things that would take place in here. But it's a natural space, and we would keep the shade there so you can climb the shade. So that would be we think that's a good change. Just different ideas: food trucks, coffee shacks, pavilion, some kind of iconic structure there that draws your eye. Again, these are not what it's going to look like, but this might be what it looks like. So these are pretty interesting. And there's actually a boulder in that area that we talked about earlier that is memorialized to someone, and so that works perfectly fine with that. All right, I'm going to bring Camp in now. He's going to talk about the BMX zone. He's our action sports guy, and he's going to stand close to me because we have a mic and we don't really want to do it. So go ahead, Cam.
Okay, appreciate it. As Joey's mentioned, this is an opportunity for us to look at how to create some upgrades and modernize some of the amenities we have here, the skate park, the BMX track, and some other areas that can be considered more multi-use. So looking at this BMX areas first, it's really just about looking at some possibilities of maybe upgrading it, replacing it with something that's more multi-use for all wheels, like a pump track. If we were to do that, we would also make sure that we're keeping some of the opportunities that the BMX track offers, like jump lines and other types of things we can do on whether it's a BMX bike or maybe like a bigger bike. If we make it all wheel for a hard surface, we can also do a couple of tracks, maybe one for more beginners. And it could be for all wheels like scooters, roller skates, rollerblades, a lot of opportunities we've seen doing these hard surface pump tracks. The opportunity to also fill out the space a little bit better to create the opportunities there by relocating the office and the restrooms. Again, Joey kind of looked at the possibility of putting that toward the center.
Just let me jump in. One thing that's a real problem here, this fence here is basically blocks off this entire part of the park because it's got to have staff there. If there's no staff there, it's closed. And so that takes a huge footprint, which you can't just walk up. So that's the idea here. So let's get rid of the fences and do something that you can just walk in and ride, just like you can walk in and skate.
What difference would it make if it's not maintained?
Well, one of the reasons, I'll let Kevin answer that, in terms of maintenance, that's a big problem with
I mean,
the,
like for 3 months, it's been overgrown with
Yeah.
weeds and,
that's another big issue why it's generally closed a lot of times.
Well, we'll wait to get to the Q&A part, and some of this will address those questions. The opportunity here is to provide a paved track with opportunities for events, for races, but also for community opportunities and allowing for progression. So a lot of beginners can go right in there, they're not going to be intimidated. We'll have more room to have more passive space around the track if that's something we decide to do. For viewing, for spectatorship, we can definitely create something with the landforms around where now the fence would be removed. But the main thing is that it's a hard surface, and the current condition there is dirt, which requires a lot of work to reshape, to maintain all the landscaping, as you mentioned. And these are some images of some of the projects we're doing, specifically to address all the maintenance concerns and the fact that it does not have to be operated. It does not have to have a fence around it to let people in and let people out. It would function and operate very similar to the skate parks that you see there today and other examples we're going to share. This actually allows something for more durable materials, and there's a lot of variety of tracks we're showing here. Again, this is just something we're looking at as a preliminary option, and just some ideas of things a little bit more beginner friendly, a little bit more advanced. Some can be longer for jump lines, some can be a little bit more organic, turning back on themselves for some variety there. I think we can accomplish a lot of these things within the space we have. So the other zone you're probably familiar with is the existing skate park. And the idea there is to look at ways to improve and repair what we have. Andrew and I, who's on my team here, is actually local here in Louisiana. He grew up skateboarding here. I worked on the original design, but we can see a lot of the things that are working well, but some things that could be improved upon. So we'll be looking at those opportunities first and foremost about how to maintain and activate this space even better than it is. Looking at all the current trends we have in skate parks, the materials, the flow, increasing flow, and having return opportunities, and then repairing the areas that just need some updating so that this is good for another 10 to 20 years easy. Some of the strategies here would also be able to be thinking about how we sort of connect the spaces together, thinking about the circulation between the action sports hub area, the flex spaces, the sort of other recreational opportunities, the BMX/contract area, right into the skate park itself. And just considering these relationships here, how they work well together, how we can make them more compatible, and how we can make a family-friendly environment that really allows for progression from beginner to more advanced. One of the other things that Joey did mention earlier that we're also looking at is more of a multi-use zone within the velodrome by expanding some skatable space or just some space that allows wheeled activities within the velodrome. The idea is to have something that is kind of less is more. It does not necessarily look like a skate park, but can be used for a lot of other opportunities. But it's more flat, it's open, it's perfect for people who just want to push around and do things that are not overly programmed or intimidating for a lot of the uses you see in a typical skate park. And here's some examples of some of the renovations we've done at other skate parks, just bringing them back to life, thinking about the condition of the existing surfaces, the concrete, the metal edging or lack thereof, and how to give them new life and new opportunities. Very similar to some of these examples here. And here are some examples of other more recent skate parks we've done since we've done the original Perkins Park. So you can see just a lot of opportunities for these to be community assets, opportunities for you to have more access into the park, inside the park, around the park, walkable pathways, popular. And popular with the users we see means the existing skate park as well. And that ties right into what we were talking about with the velodrome. You know, having a space that can be looked at almost like an outdoor cafe that is also legally rideable. It's not necessarily meant to be a rideable plaza first. It's actually more of a multi-use community plaza first, and it just happens to be usable by different little activities, including things like having roller skate jams on weekends, and beginners who just want to roll around and have classes and clinics who just want to learn how to stand up on a board and not be intimidated by other features that would be typically in a skate park or a fun track. So these are some examples of ideas of what we can do to make this feel more natural and kind of a departure of what the skate park actually looks like today.
Okay, so the next area is the velodrome. So the velodrome has been there since the 80s, when the sports fest was done. When we did the master plan in 2007, we considered what to do with it at that time. Originally, we thought we were going to probably do some changes to it, but there was still a portion of the community that was using it as a fixed gear bike for velodrome type racing. That sport and that has basically gone away, at least here. But this does have some historical significance. There were only a few of these in the country at the time they were built. And so we want to respect that, but we can't, it's a big hole in the ground. It's not suitable to ride, even if you had people that wanted to ride in it. It's not safe right now. It would cost too much money to upgrade it, to get it back into shape for velodrome, fixed gear bike racing. And then if we spent that money, then nobody would use it, apparently, because there's nobody locally that we've been able to identify that really has a need for it. So what do you do with it? It would cost a lot of money to raise it and fill up the hole, and then you'd have to build something on top of it. So the idea is to keep the form, respect that history, but make it its own space and make it something really dynamic, something really special, and something really cool, but something that's extremely multi-purpose. It's going to tie into the skate park, absolutely, one way or another, and we need to make sure that we open those doors. So we're thinking about how do we make these entrances here and here easier, and visibility in it here better. Maybe we take this and we take sections of the wall out so that we can get into this area here, so that we can flow in from the cafe space or the office space into here, and it ties into the skate park. And then let's build this community plaza in that area. We want to maintain that goal. There is a tremendous amount of walking that takes place around this. It's almost exactly a quarter mile. So it's a nice loop to be able to just walk. If you're a mom or dad and your kids are skating or on the BMX track, you've got great visibility to walk the path up here, look down into the spaces, and also look down into the exciting stuff we're going to create down there. So we want to keep this loop and these entrances and this shape. Green it up, do some creative things with those walls to make them safer. Maybe we put paint murals on them. Maybe we do plant trees inside of them and do terracing and so forth. A lot of opportunities from a design standpoint there, and so that's kind of the idea of keeping it. And then we want to put this skate plaza. Again, it's a plaza that encourages skating so that it's legal. So that hopefully the people that have that are skating downtown would rather skate here, because you're not going to get harassed by but we're trying to reproduce that kind of organic experience that in this plaza. So we'll have some flat area that we can have pop-up events on. And we don't envision this necessarily as just a lot of concrete and walls. We want to have areas where there may be some landscape areas, some turf areas, grass areas in there. There may be areas where you have Adirondack chairs and cornhole and outdoor ping pong and really create this urban plaza like a Bryant Park or like some of the great consolidated parks, and bring this density of people in there so that people can be skating, but there's lots of other activity that can happen in there, and have it flexible enough so that if you wanted to have the Christmas festival, maybe you could have an outdoor synthetic ice skating rink, or you could have a pop-up retail area there, or you could have a roller derby event there, or you could have birthday parties there where you could skate in certain areas. So really make it a dynamic space that things could be going on at all different times. Certain areas could be closed off for certain events or rented for certain events, that type of thing. But really incorporate it into the wheel and in and around, and really make it visible so that you can see down into it. Some ideas. This is in Dallas, downtown Dallas, but you can see the configuration of this is a rooftop garden actually, with trees on the top of the green in the middle, and pavilions, maybe some, not necessarily a splash pad, but an interactive fountain in there, seawalls, places to gather, and then also have this kind of dynamic here where, there's skate elements inside of it. But then there's also just plaza elements, just basically an urban plaza that is skateable and it's allowed. And so that's kind of the idea that we're thinking of where this happens, where you've got, you can see this pop-up retail. It's a place to be. We want it to be a place to be. We want it to draw. We want it to be a draw other than just for skaters. As we said in the previous slide, have a green space there. It could be used for PB soccer. It could be used for, pick up flag football or program flag football for, one field, or we could use it for throwing a frisbee or just laying out in the sun, day-to-day basis. It also could work. It could also function as a lawn if we put an entertainment venue there, some type of stage that where you could have an event in there that could be anything from a Saturday morning acoustic guys playing walk-up open mic type of day to a paid event concert with a lot of people who can utilize maybe some paid area here, the lawn area here, and then maybe this gets closed for a night if you had a big event that you needed all of the space. The natural form of it works from a sound abatement standpoint because you've got the walls here where you push the sound up instead of horizontal. Planting trees on this berm also would break that sound up. And it's a considerable distance from the neighborhoods as well. And so it would be, it would be largely, it would not necessarily be a rock concert venue, but it would be more of a movie in the park place, or you could have a dance recital there, a cheer competition there. Multiple things you could have as long as we cover it. So we need to cover it, and then we need to also do some things that explain what's going on behind that hill a little bit, or at least make it kind of an iconic structure because it's right there at the entrance of the park. So we want to make sure that we do that. And then be able to provide, if you had a big event here, that we could provide temporary restrooms and food trucks or other concessions that we don't have to build this infrastructure, that's going to have the ability to service, 4,000 or 5,000 people that may only happen once. Or once a year or something like that, but we can have it multi-purpose, have the ability to have this space, and you can even skate here, skate in here, and skate all around it. I mean, we're just in the beginnings of exploring those ideas, but we've got a lot of creative juices that are flowing on the space because I think it could become a spot in town, if that makes sense, that people want to go to. Other than just the people that are currently skating in the skate park, and they've got this new deal. So I'm getting the high sign, so I need to kind of wrap up. Of course, we would provide shade here, and just some maybe some little pop-up food and beverage areas, water play, grass lawn on the stage, ping pong pavilions and all that. But all the skating can take place around it. This is an amphitheater that's flat. People skate in here in the shade. This is in Australia. Food trucks, so that's basically what we're talking about. So, questions and answers. Do we have any new questions here? All right, we've already answered that one. We answered that one. Okay. Temperature rising, more indoor activities are needed, especially for pickleball. We're approaching this from an outdoor recreation standpoint. So shade is more, likely to be in line with what we typically do, although we are recommending some conditioned spaces. So, that's the pickleball aspect of that. That is something that could potentially be, there's a cost associated with that, and there's budgets and all that we have to consider. But certainly, covered pickleball courts are needed. With fans, that helps a lot, especially during the hot, when it's sunny. But that's potential. Can't guarantee anything, but I think the building would work that way. Track, skate parks, spectators need shaded seating areas. Didn't see a lot of that in the pump track examples. Those are mostly California and Arizona, so they don't need the shade as much.
Now, some of those examples just were cropped, but yeah, there were shaded areas in some of those examples. Some of them are actually.
Looking at like the terraced area there, that'd be great to sit at, but you're sitting in the sun.
Yeah.
The other thing is all-day program. One of the biggest problems with our camp, extreme sports camp, is that it ends in June. And it's full camp with a wait list. The heat, the direct sunlight, the lack of ability for them to have an indoor space where they can continue activities, even related activities. I was like, teach them how to stop the bleed. Because that's what action sports leads to.
Yeah.
Where they can take a break indoors, air conditioned. Yes, we have the rec center, but we took the rec center because there was other activities that had been going on. So.
And I think that's one of the area where the rock climbing wall is, it's a big space. And even if it's a respite for 30 minutes, so that you don't have to leave. You can break it up some. You can come in and get cold water, or you can drink a Powerade, you can talk to mom who's having coffee or dad who's having coffee, and this internet cafe idea I think would be great. Some complexities there as how's it staffed or whatever, but I think those are the types of things in terms of indoor activities to give you that. And we are, almost every zone has add more trees, add more shade. And in the main plaza, we're considering some big shade, that we would do as part of the overall cachet of that space.
Yeah, the little fountains. Some sort of water features that they can take a break, go cool off, get wet.
Or even like pillars that miss.
Good, great idea.
Anything is on the table, we're just collecting ideas.
And it says, have you considered sprinkling a foot golf course? Yes, we have considered that. We just, that's something that is intra-zone, so we thought about probably could get a 9-hole course out there, without impacting, a whole lot.
Foot golf or frisbee golf? What was the question?
Actually, it was mine. It was
Oh, yeah, you did say foot
okay.
golf. I didn't.
foot golf,
I just went straight to disc golf. I'm sorry.
Foot golf
We considered
or
disc
disc
golf.
golf.
We haven't considered foot golf.
So you had a great foot golf course for a minute at City Park,
Yeah.
and then
COVID.
during COVID,
Yeah.
and people started golfing again, traditional golfing, and
Yeah.
then it got filled in.
Right.
And it'd be really cool if we could
Just
get it.
pushed out.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We need to address the lighting of the skate park. Yes, that's something that's more of a minor, not a minor, but it's not big picture. It's more of a specific thing that we know of, and likely will show up as a recommendation. Instead of you'll necessarily see. Although we may have some really cool lighting features as part of the overall design. How far along are you with specific elements pertaining to skate BMX? Will there be another meeting for additional input on specifics? So this phase of the work is master planning. So that means we're going to take it to the level where we know that it will work, but it's not construction document level specifics. Right now, I don't think we have another meeting scheduled to specifically look at that or specifically look at anything. Although that might be something that we can do online as post some things. We are just beginning to put shapes and things we worked this morning. Can't send from out California, so we worked this morning, and we're working again tomorrow morning to start to put some definition to some of these spaces.
But I know where you're going with the question. It's big picture. We're not going into the nitty-gritty of details of the features yet. We're just defining the spaces and the
I
zones.
didn't see anything on a boat launch.
On a boat launch.
So
Yes.
wait,
So one of the, as far as the pond,
No. The Corps spent, what was it, $40 million desnagging Dawson Creek. So that area that wasn't available for use for kayakers or whatever, you now have a perfect place to do that.
thank you for that idea. That's a good first person that's brought that up.
I mean, that's been talked about ever since the Corps did that, but right now the only place is down at Hollywood Park. But you have so many neighborhoods close there, and they have kids already trying to finagle their way into there. But when the Corps desnagged the whole thing, it's a much more doable than it had been.
Thank you for that. A great recommendation.
The city parish is also maybe doing a flood risk reduction project along Dawson Creek, further towards Starling. And when the trail goes down there, that might be a good location for a launch.
But you have between wildlife and fisheries
Yeah,
in the southeast corner of the park. And then in conjunction with that, with making better use of Dawson Creek, is have a litter boom at that bridge so you don't have all that debris when the water is high and it brings all that trash down there. But that makes it in a very populous area. It opens up a whole new avenue of use.
Well, it also provides a blueway next to the greenway, which is always positive. So that's something we'll have to look into, and yeah.
Is the greenway going to keep extending down Dawson, or is it going to go
Both.
Both ways. Yeah.
Both ways.
It's going to go north to Wards, and it's going to keep on going down Dawson. Because I think you have the servitude or right-of-ways already in hand, right?
yeah, it's going to be a combination of on-street, sharrows and lanes. Like you can actually safely bike once you get to Quail through Pollard and then Roseanne and then get on Hyacinth to the
Yeah.
lakes.
So-
So yeah, it's all part of the health loop going the other way.
what I wanted to say, just on the, for the details on the specifics, for the details on the skate park design and stuff, just make sure you leave like some comments and your information, and so like when they get to those points, in the design, the design process, that we can reach back out and just make sure to keep you a part of the process.
I think as we go through, maybe we can set up a point where we can put some things, kind of out there. So let me just, the next question is what are the timeline? So what our next steps are is we're going to take this information, readjust strategies, work with BREC and staff to see what we can do about, some of these programmatic facilities, things to how do we, make sure that is addressed before we make any final recommendations. Then we have to do 2 schematic plans that just are 2 different ways to approach the project. So at the end of the day, these are pretty loose plans that just take what we've done and take the input we've had tonight and try to put form and shape on it so that it's workable plans. And then we'll be getting with BREC to review that and then come up with a direction for a final plan or a final master plan. Again, the master plan is not specific to construction, it's just specific to the direction that we're going. These are our recommendations. Along with that, we'll have recommendations about infrastructure like, water and sewer, power, those types of things that we're talking about, what those needs are. We'll have cost estimating that'll be done, and we'll start to look at some phases, and we need your help on some of that tonight. The master plan, the final master plan is supposed to be submitted at the November commission meeting, I believe, and that will be part of the commission meeting, so it won't be a long, public presentation, but it will be publicly presented, but it won't be because it's part of the meeting. segmented presentation, and that will be the final plan, and then of course it'll be online for people to respond to. Then the next step after that will be there is some money allocated for construction, but I think there's a process that probably go through and figure out, what the priorities are and how that fits within the budget. So this process really will be, the master plan phase will be completed, basically by the end of the year.
And at the very least, as we get your input tonight and they take it to another level, I think that you'll have an opportunity, the public will have an opportunity to provide more input online, interactively. I guess there's a possibility, we'll have to look at it, maybe there is another meeting, we will look at the scope. But yeah, at the very least, there will be another input opportunity, whether it's virtual or in person.
Can you put signage at the park so people know?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. QR codes.
No, I mean, that had been, I just looked out because I heard it on the news, but I go to the park 350 days a year plus, didn't see anything about this meeting. So most of the people I see aren't there who use it.
That's there. Important feedback.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could also have the meetings at.
Well, originally it was we're planning on having it there.
So we want to break out. We're going to have, this is zone 1 through 5 over here and zone 6 through 10 over here. If you want to have any specific questions or making specific comments, we would welcome that. There are a few copies of each zone if you want to have that. And if you want to write down something on that, leave it with us, that would be great. And then finally, we have kind of a polling thing in the middle there where we're going to give you a certain number of little flags, and we want you to prioritize, what is your highest priority of the zones based on what you've heard, what you would like to see, as most. So Laura will tell you, tell you how that works and the rules of that. The really sharp little pushpin, so be careful. And then at this point, I'd like to go ahead and break out so we can answer these questions. And if anybody needs to talk to somebody, oh, the online survey. Yes, I'm sorry. There is an online survey that asks your opinion of a lot of the stuff that we really need you to fill out. We do have some computers here that you can do it tonight, but you also can get the QR code. QR code to log in on your own and participate. And tell your friends too. If people couldn't make it or people didn't know about it, tell your friends.
3 weeks, give or take.
Yeah. It'll run